Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in here. 1 second. Make sure. Let me do a voice check here first. Sound check. Make sure everything's going good. Greetings, fellow traders. Good. All right. Let's get this tweeted, and let's get rolling. So, good stuff. I hope everybody had a blessed and wonderful weekend. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, or this week we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is day trading key levels. And there's some important ones out there, so we just want to kind of highlight a few of the important ones here this week. And so once again, as you guys know, I like to tweet out inside weeks every Saturday, some notable ones. And today we're going to be talking about inside weeks and the levels that they provide. But before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome. Good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to check and see where we left off with the market on Friday, and then we're going to take a look at the futures and see how they're behaving or misbehaving here this evening to see what we might have setting up here into the rest of the night and into the early morning hours, and what might we could expect into tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Let's take and then we'll take a look at the topic and then questions and chart requests. So let's get started. So let's take a look at SPX here. So monthly chart, we're pretty early into the month here in October. It looked like on last Wednesday, like we were going to start to get some flows coming in here, and into Thursday that we are going to get some flows, and then we just really turned into some choppy action. So we've got an inside month right now, right on the month as we're starting the month off. Weekly chart though, the prior week, right, we pushed our way off of the weekly hammer. Don't forget here, we've got this big cloud canyon right here, which kind of started this this whole volatility that we've been seeing over the last couple weeks. So it does look like that we've broken out of this channel, right, which is the corrective channel right here from the upward trend line. We had an impulsive move out of the channel right here. Obviously, bears were thinking that this is going to be like the big wave down, right? But of course, right, they bought the dip a little bit, and then we had an ABC formation, and then we finished with another impulsive move down here, finishing what we believe was a zigzag formation here in the Elliott wave. And so we think this is probably a larger wave 4, and so this is possibly done. We did push above it here with a nice green candle back on the 25th. Then we gapped above it, and like we said, we wanted to get a strong close above the 50-day moving average in the cloud to really see if this thing could get going for a wave 1 up. And it's possible that this wave 1 is done here. We had a hanging man here the other day, and we gapped below it and finished with a green spinning top here at the ADMA below the 50-day moving average into the cloud. And so one of the things that we're looking at here and we're tracking is how it's going to hold this gap. And where we go from there. So it is possible to see. Right now we're at the 382 retracement here from this fresh wave up. So what to us it looks like here that this could be an A. We may see another push up here, B, and then we might see a wave C down, which could end up filling this gap. And we're definitely going to be tracking the 50% retrace and of course the 618, and see if we can get a reversal off of that to start a wave 3 up to possibly get its way up at least close to all-time highs before another pullback and then a fresh push up. So that's kind of what we're leaning at right now. There's a couple other perspectives that we could look at, but right now, since we broke out of this, what really looks like a zigzag corrective channel, this so far is our kind of the main thing. There are some bear counts that are out there, right? So right now we hit the 50% retrace of the move down. It is possible if we hit the 618 that this could be a larger wave down, and this could have just been wave 1, right? And then wave 2 is kind of working its way up here, and then we might see a much bigger wave down too. So there's also that perspective. But right now we're leaning on the bullish side because we broke out of the corrective channel, and since we have been trending up nicely, we haven't had this type of correction yet. This would make sense if this were a wave 2 down here, ABC, right? That was kind of a narrow range wave 2. That this could be a wave 4 just by the guideline of alternation using Elliott wave. So we'll see how that goes going into this week and what we have in store. But I guess we can expect some volatility. One, because the volatility got pretty high last week, it started to spike a little bit, and definitely got us cautious. But two, right, because of the news that's out there, right, we got POTUS that's in the hospital right now, so that's kind of a big deal, and so we'll see how that goes, right? So how that heads kind of into this week. So let's take a look here at the price action here on Friday. So you can see we've over the last couple days, this was the day here, right, on the 30th, where it really looked like things were going to start getting going, right? But really a lot of it looked like possibly some window dressing into the end of the quarter, the end of the month. So we've got a fresh month, fresh quarter right here. So we had some really choppy price action on Thursday, and then Friday just even more choppy price action, right? We did have some good moves, right? So it was a nasty gap down, and the dip buys were incredible, right? But they really didn't get any follow through, right? Look at all these upper shadows right here, just into the end of the day. But we also didn't get any sharp moves down. They did close it red, but nothing really major, right, on that one. So still a lot of choppy price action right here. Here you can see the levels that we provide to our members before each market opens. So you can see how valuable these are, right? Not only was the prior day's low important where we filled the gap, but there's also a couple levels right here. And you can see we had a volumetric level right here too, which corresponded with the scene of the breakdown on the futures, right? Now, we didn't really flush off of that. We had a couple couple pushes off of that. We never really tagged it. So it was like, test, 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 right? And it just didn't want to really get there. So tonight we finally got there. So let's take a look at the S&P futures and see how they're behaving here. So when we deal with the futures, we deal with supply and demand areas, right? They're very, very important. And so, and you can see why. I mean, every night we talk about this. I mean, so here was where the news was announced that that PTON tested positive for COVID-19, right? So we pushed down off of there, and we had a prior signal zone down here. This is our support zone, right? We bounced off of that nicely, forming a fresh, drop area right here. We bounced off it again with a higher low, right, and kind of worked our way through this level, and it really looked like we were going to test this drop zone, and we never really quite touched it on Friday, and they tested it here tonight, which is kind of interesting, right? So we gapped up tonight, tested it, and then it was a quick rejection off of that level, right? Now we're triangulating right now. So now the market's like, what's going on into tonight, right? So we're getting really, really tight right here. It could actually be a pennant type move, and we might be working our way back up, right? So this corrective pattern, right, very similar to what we're looking at the daily chart here, finished by this breakout right here, and then we pushed above it here. So we may be working on a larger wave, right? So this could be like a wave 1, wave 2, and this could be starting to work on a potential wave 3 up, and we might actually see some pretty bullish behavior, and that would actually correspond with what we were talking about on the daily chart on the SPX to get that bigger push up to finish the wave B. Right, so this is your A move, your B move, right? So that would give a good push up right here, and then we might see a wave C down to fill this gap, and then we'll look to see, right, if we can bounce off of that, and if we can get an impulsive wave up to try to at least get closer to all-time highs. So that's kind of what we're looking at right here. So, definitely something interesting here to, as we go into this evening, and we'll see what we have in store for the rest of the night and into tomorrow. So good stuff there. All right, so let's take a look at the topic here this week. This week we're going to be talking about day trading key levels again. Well, not again, but it is an important topic. We're going to talk about inside weeks again. So this is a really important topic, right? So the inside weeks give us key levels, right? Why? Because when candles go inside, when we get an inside candle, what it does is it shows us price and decision. We typically label our candles yellow to show where we're pausing, right? So we've got kind of an indecision area right here. So we pause and then we move, right? So pause and move, right? Pause and move, right? And so when we see that on the larger time frames, right, it gets us really interested, right? Because that can give us some really big breakout levels, when these things happen, right? Here's inside week, right? Worked its way back up. Inside week, right? Worked its way back down, right? So let's take a look at one recently. Let's take a look at AMD. So we tweeted this out last weekend, the importance of this level, and you can see right here, right? So this was a major level right here from last week, right? So we dropped, we paused, right? Price and decision, and then we reversed, right? We pushed our way back up really, really nicely off of these levels, right? So what we'll do is we'll put a line here and we'll just show you how intraday, how important these become. So 78.79 was the high of that week. So let's put this right here. 78.79. Inside week high. Okay, and then we'll just kind of explore that and see how that behaved throughout last week, right? So if we go to the daily chart here, let me get this back up there, right? So you can see how important that was just to start on Monday, right? So on Monday itself, right? So we pushed up, we tried to push back below, we held the ADMA, and we formed with a hammer over that inside week high, and that hammer projected a nice move up into the next day, and then we had a doji sandwich to work our way back up. So you can see on the swing trading side, those inside weeks can be very, very valuable, right? And on the day trading side, they also key us into those key levels, right? So so one of the things we could see here, right, here's the hourly time frame. So you can see exactly how we handled that into Monday of last week, right? So it tried to drop down off of that level, but then it just continued to reject the downside, right? Big lower shadow right here, lower shadow here, and then it gave us an inside 60 right here and a doji sandwich to really start to work its way back up into that prior week, right? So or into the rest of the week. So we can see here on the 15-minute chart, if we go to those levels, right, how important that Monday was, right? So let's check that out right here. So this is here we go on the 28th, right? So we see what happened, right? We were above it, right? We gapped above it to start the day on Monday, and then we flushed below it really, really quickly. We also had a 60 anchor level right here, which was a key level. That's where we closed with an inside 60 at the end of the day, and we actually label those here in the group. and you can see how well that level held right there. So that was kind of the line in the sand, right? A lot of lower shadows right here, and once we had a nice strong candle off of this, right, it got us to that level again. Again, we had a lot of upper shadows off of here. We retested the anchor again, then we had another hammer right here to get our way above it, and then we got a bull flag right here, right? And keep in mind, look at this, we also had inside 15s too to get our way out of that area into the next day. And then really quickly pre-market, the next day we had a lower shadow pre-market, and we just started launching off of that into Tuesday, and then we just continued to see higher highs and higher lows, right, until we got to the recent highs there before Friday's pullback, right? So pretty interesting stuff, and it was actually pretty cool right here on Thursday. If you guys see my tweets, right, we had a 60 anchor to close the day on Thursday, and look how high we got. We got all the way up to that 60 anchor where we closed inside 15, and then we worked our way back down into the end of the day. So cool stuff, right? So those weekly charts really give us key levels, and one level that we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on going into this week is Tesla, right? So Tesla, when they give an inside week, it's definitely one to keep notice, especially if it's a compressed inside week, and especially if it gives us a double inside week like this one. This is an incredible move right here off of Tesla off the double inside week. Now we've got an inside week here on Tesla with an upper shadow, right? And so kind of a rough day, and room to work its way back down to the bump line right here, which could be interesting. And then we also finished the day too with an evening star reversal setup, right? So that's kind of interesting too. We had a real body right here, a real body that closed above, and now a close with a shooting star candle well below 50% of the range of this candle. And so that's a very, very, with big volume, a very, very interesting candle going in tomorrow. Now keep in mind it's Tesla, right? So there's it can squeeze out shorts really quickly, but it's definitely on the bearish radar. Lots of setups here on the bearish radar here, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the inside week low right here, which is 411 and 60 cents. So definitely something to keep an eye on going into this week. So good stuff. So really appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys found that helpful. I'm checking here. I don't have any chart requests here from Shirley, but if she's checking out the recording, again, guys, continue to keep her thoughts and prayers. She really appreciates it as she gets better all the time. So really, really good stuff, guys. I appreciate that, and I know she does too. So good stuff there. So let's take a look and see what we got going on here, guys. So good to see everybody. Let's take a look here. We've got Sahil. What's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well and had a great weekend. ZEK, what's going on? I hope you had a great weekend. TSLA PTON. Okay, so PTON's looking really interesting, right? So PTON keeps on pushing to all-time highs, and this thing's just been epic, right? I mean, epic since it's, this is the Corona crash here for PTON. And then, right, there started to be like that huge flow into kind of stay-at-home names, and PTON's has been kind of one of the leaders with that. Now, it's kind of interesting, right? It's like, really, PTON, like, how many people are buying, who are staying at home and worried about jobs, are buying, like, exercise bikes for their homes? But, if for a lot of the folks that are, moving out of big cities and are able to kind of consolidate their expenses and don't want to go out to the gym to, because of the pandemic, this is actually a reasonable option. And there's also apps that you can download. You don't actually have to order one of their equipment. So it's pretty interesting. They had a big move since earning, a lot of volume right here. So it's continuing to work its way up, right? So one of the big things that we're looking at right here is, how extended is it getting, right? The weekly chart, your RSI is really overbought right here. If you go to the weekly chart right here, let's pull up the, let's pull up the Bollinger Bands here on the weekly and see how those are looking right here. So we're well over the upper Bollinger Bands with RSI overbought. So it seems like it's a matter of time before this thing pulls back. We do have an upper shadow right here, so it's definitely one to keep an eye on. But sometimes these names that are just that go along with this, the news like this, can keep going, like this one, Zoom, things like that. So definitely something to keep an eye on right here. I'm not fully bearish on this one yet. The upper shadow is concerning, but we're definitely going to keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Again, it's been pretty remarkable since the Corona crash lows, right? So AMD also looking pretty interesting right here. Again, a lot of these names had a big pullback here with the market. We saw some pullbacks. This is also an evening star, pretty close to an evening star reversal, maybe not 50% of the range of that candle, but very, very close to one right here. It's eyeing the 8-day and the 50-day. So keep an eye on AMD, see if it wants to pull back on that. And then JP Morgan. So what was really interesting is the banks had relative strength, right? It had relative strength on Friday. So that was, there was some good short moves on it. But it was really, really hard for us to be super duper bearish, right, on the market when the banks were strong. Now, JP Morgan, gave us a nice engulfing candle right here. It is below the 50-day. It is below the cloud, right? But, just the intraday price action was just phenomenal on it. And it was pretty strong not too long ago, too, right? Had a really strong day here, right? And I believe back here, really super duper strong day too. So we've been seeing some relative strength on those. And Bank of America is another one that we traded this on Friday. JP Morgan was a little spready for a Friday, but Bank of America, we caught this candle right here in the group. I mean, just a really, really nice move on that one. And these banks are still showing some relative strength right here. So we'll keep an eye on it, see if there continues to be flow into the banks. Again, don't forget they got earnings coming up pretty soon, right, in about 10 days. So that's going to kick off earnings season. So we may see a little bit of an earnings run on some of these names. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. So great stuff. Thanks, EK. Really appreciate it. Mike, what's going on? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. So let's take a look at the semis and see how they're doing. So semis again, look at that. That's an evening star reversal right there. Real body, and then closed under 50% of the range right there. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. It's a good point there to ZEK's AMD trade or a concept. See if we get any fault in that. Now it did phase plant on the 80MA, so see how that holds right there. That's a key kind of line in the sand for it. Let's take a look at Apple. Again, Apple has been showing some relative. We've been getting a lot of nice short opportunities. Not a lot of great follow through on it, but a lot of nice short opportunities, at least at the open and early in the morning. On Apple, it's been showing some relative weakness right here, and it gave us a Southern Doji below the 80MA and the 50-day. Right? So, and it's got room to get to its macro upper trend line down here if it wants to be weak going into tomorrow. So that is looking kind of interesting too. Of course, if everything gaps up tomorrow, we could see a big squeeze, right? Like for instance, Tesla, which we just talked about on the inside week. So Tesla, I mean, I'm overall bearish on it just because of the chart pattern, but anything could happen, right? So if this thing gaps up 20, 30 points tomorrow, right? You got to imagine with this type of volume, this type of candle, there's a lot of shorts in it, right? Going over the weekend. So if we gap above it, especially if we gap over the open right here, we could see a pretty big squeeze on Tesla too. I'm leaning bearish on it, but of course, anything could happen on it if it gaps up. So that could be very interesting. Now, if it gapped up, some news came out and it gapped over Friday's high, like it got over like 440 again, which is the battery day drop area. That thing would be a professional gap, and that thing could squeeze like crazy. So just something to keep an eye on there. So it could be interesting right there. Hobbs, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Entry point for EXAS. Wow. Big move here recently on this one. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Right, big week. Right, nice week right here. I mean, it's got a lot of levels to contend with here on the weekly chart still. At this point, it's something we can kind of keep an eye on. If you go to the scene of the breakout right here, we can see how it handles the 8-day, see how it handles the 382, see if it consolidates and gives a reversal off of that, right? So that's something to look at there. Docu, let's take a look. So again, another stay-at-home name that has been epic, right, for a while, right? And kind of gave a nasty shooting star reversal candle here with high volume. So definitely something to keep an eye on if it's weak going into tomorrow. But again, a gap up could get these things kind of squeezed out a little bit too. Walmart's looking pretty interesting right here. We're at about a 50% retrace from the recent run up, right? If we kind of go down here, right, about a 382. So it's a key level to hold right here. That was a pivot that it couldn't hold on Friday, right? And so it's kind of a nasty move, right? We saw a lot of charts that were green the last couple days and then finished red on Friday. So it's kind of some nasty stuff like Netflix, things like that. So just see how Walmart holds here. It's kind of a big area. If it holds that 140 level, right, it might consolidate a little bit and try to work its way back up again. So let's see how that goes. Umesh, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at the Big C. Yes, Big C looks like it's trying to grind its way back up here. I like the curling ADMA on this one. Lots of upper shadows right here. Let's see if we can get some volume here over the 90 level. See if that thing wants to get going on. Beyond is actually looking pretty interesting. I know it looks horrible here on the day trade side, guys. Lots of upper shadows right here. Makes it really tricky. But one of the things that we're looking at here in the group, if we go back, let's just go to the weekly chart, right? It kind of looks like it's working on a really big weekly cup and handle right here that's kind of starting to break out of a little bit. So definitely something to keep an eye on right here. Here's kind of a cup, maybe a little mini handle right here. So just kind of keep an eye on these levels, see if it gets over these highs and tries to work its way back up there on Beyond. So it could be interesting right there. Again, they have a deal with Walmart, which is kind of interesting. So pins, again, just pretty epic here after its last earnings move. Just continue to grind its way up. Definitely one I'm going to look for maybe a retrace. Maybe it comes back here to the 382, and then maybe we can get a little earnings run on that one into its next earnings report, and then we'll see how that one goes. FSLY, guys, if anybody likes the software names, anybody likes the stay-at-home names, and the stay-at-home software names, FSLY is definitely one to look at, right? They do a lot of back-end stuff for a lot of names like Zoom, things like that. So again, this has experienced almost no Corona crash, and then it was just epic, right, for a while. And we talked about here the ABC correction, ABC, which pretty much looks like it's done, right? So here, right, it looks like it could be working on a fresh impulsive wave up, right? So if we're assuming that was a reversal right here, let's see if it pulls back to the 50-day 50-day moving average right here and how it holds, and then we might see a wave 3 up on FSLY. SE, again, another epic name that's been really, really strong for a while. This one really didn't correct as much as the other ones, right? This sort of had an A down, so this could actually be a B wave, and we still may see, say, a C wave down on this one, and then it could start to work its way back up on that one, right? So just kind of keep an eye on that one. It's not as interesting, right, in terms of potentially working its way up as FSLY. ZS, a couple of these names have been really good recently, right? Nice geometric breakout on this one. Like we said, these things could be working on an impulsive way right here. See how it handles the 382, possible retest of the bottom of this geometric line. The 50 days right there at the 618 retrace. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on too. Bill. So Billcom holding, so doing pretty good right here. Again, pretty epic move up right here. Really, really complex sideways action right here. Kind of a expanded corrective pattern right here. Just kind of see how it holds this channel right here. See if we can break above that with some volume and see where we go from there. And then TWST. Let's twist again. All right, so we got this going on here, right? Big potential bull flag that it's working on right here. Kind of consolidated range. See if we can break out above those levels with some volume. So good stuff. And what else? You got a couple others. Let's take a look. You got BIDU. Yeah, BIDU's a tricky one. Of all the China names to trade, this one's been a really, really tough one recently. It used to be super duper fun back in the day, but now it's been really, really tricky, right? And the options have been kind of funky. So Baba and JD are pretty much the only Chinese names I look at, other than like Neo. But kind of see how it holds these levels right here. See if we break above here with some volume, and see which way it wants to go from there. And then APPN. This has been a big name too recently. A lot of big pushes, right? Big push out of this level right here, right? So I mean, just kind of keep an eye on this right here. We had this this big push up right here. Right, here's your almost a 618 retrace there to the 50-day. But again, this is kind of a funky mover, right? So it's 29 kind of worked its way back up here. You got some funky geometric levels. A little bit of caution on this one, but see if it's kind of working on a bit of a flag pattern right here to try to push its way back up too. So good stuff on that. Good. Really appreciate it. Yeah, my pleasure, Umesh. I hope you're doing great. Ankit, what's going on? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well too. Grant, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Apple. Let's take a look at Apple. So Apple, again, kind of interesting right here. Again, evening star reversal on Apple technically on this one. I would like to have seen that as a red candle. But it's really important here that we're below the 50-day on it, kind of a doji. So it's got a little bit of room to the downside if it does get bearish here to this 110 level off of its macro upper trend line. So just kind of see how that holds. Let's take a look. Microsoft has been tough. It's given some intraday trades, but this is a really, really tough pattern that we're in right now. On this one, we assume that the macro wave finished right here. We did see a zigzag down right here, but at this point here, it looks like ABC maybe, and might actually impulse its way down again, which is kind of funky, right? So if we go here and we duplicate, I mean, it's got the potential to work its way down to there, just because it really hasn't been working its way up very much. This was not really an impulsive move down compared to its initial move. Not saying that this is it, right? Not saying that's not done, but it's really been really tricky right here. And this is like kind of 1-2, 1-2, and it really hasn't been behaving very bullishly in this area. So, I mean, right now we're at the kind of the 382 pullback, nasty move on Friday. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on here. It's breaking down out of the cloud. I think it's one to probably keep on the bearish radar. So definitely interesting there. So good stuff. Dan, what's going on? Many styles in your kung fu. I like it. Many styles. That's great. Let's take a look and see. So you've got thoughts on gold. So let's take a look at GLD. So GLD has been pretty interesting, right? So it gave a nice little bounce right here. Was looking, nice geometric line, possible triangle, right? It's got so many gaps on it, which make it tough. And this has been, these are tough to day trade, right? So, and they're tough to swing trade too, right? Really the best thing we could do on these ones is buy it when it gets cheap and just try to hold it, right? So, the Corona crash just gave, some good deals on gold and silver. And, now, I mean, we could be working on kind of like an extended bull flag right here. I do want to see it get over this geometric line over the 50-day and back over the cloud to see if it works its way back up. So good stuff there. Jameis, what's going on? SPX, we'll take another look at SPX, but you can always go back and look at it right here. But again, full review in the newsletter, right? So, but just kind of look right here. We're breaking out the geometric level. Let's see if we might, the futures are up here tonight. So let's see if that pushes us up here. This could be ABC, could pull us back down to fill that gap, and then we might really start to work our way back up. But we'll see how it goes. Again, a lot of this is going to be pretty news driven here, to see what happens to POTUS this week. So we've got that going on. BA with a big dip buy. Again, more stimulus news. Now, I guess Congress is out until like the 19th or something like that. I guess they're taking a vacation. So we'll see how that goes right here. I guess there may not be any votes on stimulus, but it's been a lot of names have been trading off of that. So Boeing, there was some sort of commitment to airline stimulus, things like that. It launched on Friday and kind of pulled back off of that a little bit with the triangle. So we're back above the 8-day. We're kind of at the 50-day right here. We've got a nice thin cloud here on the daily, so definitely want to keep an eye on, right, to see if it can, push above here and maybe try to work its way up to the 200, right, if we get some good news on it. NVIDIA, again, we just looked at the semis, right. We're looking pretty weak right here. Nasty down move here on NVIDIA. Overall, it's been pretty good over the upward trend lines, right. We got this pullback right here. We're right at the 382 and the 80 MA, so we'll see how that holds. If it gets any farther, right, next level down, we want to see how it holds the 618 right here, which is corresponding to a, kind of that little support area. So we'll see how that goes for NVIDIA. And Netflix, of course, just nasty 180 reversal on Friday, right? Super duper strong day with big volume. I mean, look, the price action on Friday was just incredible on Netflix. Like, what? And we profiled that last week in one of our live streams here. But nasty pullback here. Not as much volume, but nasty, right? So see if it's a low volume fake out, but it definitely didn't feel like a fake out on Friday, right? Because it was a pretty nasty pullback. So we got that going on, and then Docu, right? So a lot of folks looking at Docu. Cool name, right? Engulfing candle right here, upper shadow, but it's really in a tight range right here, big prior range area, right? So we just kind of need to see all this stuff right here. So just kind of see how that holds, right? If we kind of just keep going back, right? I mean, it's just that this is a big area for Docu, right? So it does look like a little bit of a head and shoulders type thing going on, but usually the horizontal ones are a little bit trickier to pull off. So we'll see how it goes there, see how it holds these levels, right? And then you got this cloud moving up right here. So definitely something to keep an eye on that. Neaton, what's going on? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Good evening. Yep, so Netflix, of course, nasty pullback on that one. Not as much volume, but just kind of see how it holds. It might just be but that was a sharp pullback on that one, so a little bit of caution there. Tesla, again, we're leaning a little bit bearish on this one. It's hard to be bearish on it. We'll see where they end up in the morning, but it's definitely a nasty pullback on Friday. And Amazon, pretty interesting, right? So it was starting a fresh trend up after it cleared its downward trend line right here and then closed above it Thursday with volume, and then it pulled back again here, right? So we're back below the upper trend, so it gives us a fresh trend box on this one, so definitely want to keep an eye on too. And again, all these big names, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, these really big highly weighted names too, we definitely need to keep an eye on those, to see how they if they can help or hurt the market, right? So it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. So good stuff there. Yeah, and Grant, yeah, Mr. Softy, yep. So again, Mr. Softy, again, we talked about that potential zigzag move down here, and it may not actually be done yet, right? So this could be a 5 ABC 3, and then it might be working on a bigger move down. So we'll see how that goes on Microsoft. So a lot of these big names are looking a little bit sketchy, right? So, but anything could happen going into tomorrow, right? Especially if everything gaps up and shorts have to cover. It could really squeeze some names out, right? Some traders out. So we got that going on. Yeri, what's going on? Good evening. I hope you're doing well. Yep. So Tesla again, we got the evening star reversal on that one. So leaning a little bit bearish on a big volume on a shooting star candle. So definitely want to see there. Keep an eye on there. And Neo looking pretty interesting too. Again, Neo's just been epic recently, right? Giving some big moves, consolidation, big moves, consolidation, big moves. So it's kind of consolidated right here. Just kind of see how it holds, right? Might be working on a bull flag, right? So I know it's a nasty upper shadow from the other day. So just kind of keep an eye on it and see if it's ready to move again, right? So this is another one too to keep an eye on too. It's been getting pretty extended. I don't even know how many. I don't think they're really even selling that many cars. But anyways, we got that going on there too. Suyag, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you had a great weekend. Yeah. Thoughts on the cocktail company? Yeah. So mRNA, definitely something to keep an eye on right here. mRNA, interesting, right? So that was up after hours as well, right? So any of these vaccine names, right? Any of them that show promise towards POTUS here over the weekend, right? Could be something interesting, right? Guild, something to keep an eye on too. We're gonna keep an eye on that, and of course Regeneron. That's one of the big ones there, right? So any of these names that are doing the convalescent plasma therapy, Remdesivir, like all that stuff, right? So we definitely want to see how they react to the potential recovery, right? So that's definitely something to keep an eye on there. Grant, yeah, my pleasure. So yeah, yes, a TWO. So this is a big one we've been talking about in the Discord. This is one that I wouldn't trade, right? This is just a Chinese name that I don't mess with, right? So it's well, it's actually not. Sorry, I keep on thinking thinking of a different name, right? So this is an SaaS company. This is a U.S. name. I apologize. It's a software as a service company. So it is one of those names right there. I think I mixed this up with another Chinese name, but anyway, definitely want to keep an eye on right here, but not one that I typically trade. But you can definitely watch the trend lines right here. We got a big gap open right here. We got a big gap open right here, right? We kind of have some geometric lines going here. So what we want to do is we want to see if we can break out through one of these geometric lines to see how we go, right? So we've got that going on right here. I mean, if we get a bearish candle here with some volume, we might come down and test the 200-day. We might try to work its way up to the 50-day. It's just kind of a tricky area right here, right? It's a very kind of sketchy move, right? So this is A, B, C type move. Maybe it's trying to work on a larger wave up, but a tricky one. This is definitely not a name I mess with. So, but definitely want to keep an eye on if you're interested in it. So, pretty complex price action on that one. Yeah, so good stuff. Umesh, yeah, so Sedge, yeah, so Solar, guys, these solar names have just been so epic recently, right? The TAN sector has just been just unstoppable, right? Just recently, right? Just that whole kind of concept there that these names, right? Yep, ENPH, all these solar names, right, have just had some really big runs recently. Just huge moves, right? Boom, 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 and it just shows you, that there's still, no matter what, there's still this interest in this alternative energy type stuff, right? Fiverr, kind of interesting. I mean, it's kind of like this, this is one I didn't really think about, right? It's kind of like a gig-based company, right? You pay like $5 and or start at like $5 to get like crowdsourcing work done, stuff like that. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. This is not really like a work-from-home company here in the United States, and there's not too many people that would use it here. Mostly, it's foreign people that use it, right? And but it's definitely something interesting. It's been working its way back up. I mean, pretty incredibly right here. So definitely something to consider. There's probably more, more work that's being done on it. So it could be interesting right here. Upper shadow right here as it continues to work its way to the highs. Maybe 1, 2, 3. We might see a little bit of a pullback here. Wave 4. Potential here at the 382 or even the 618 still doesn't intersect any of these other lines. So just kind of keep an eye on those levels right there, see how they hold and if it tries to work its way up on that one. So good stuff. Christian, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Net. So Net also looking pretty interesting too. Again, keep an eye on these names. Also keep an eye on the big names: Microsoft, CRM, Adobe, right? All those big names right there. But again, continuing to kind of grind its way back up. Again, it's still below its macro upper trend line here, right? From that high to that low, right? So we kind of get right here, right? So we're still under that, right? So it hasn't really quite got to the retest of that one yet, but it has been impulsing its way back up. This could be ABC down, right? We could be where it does look like an impulsive move up, but a tricky name, not one that I typically trade, but one that has been working pretty nicely here. And then JD, okay, of all the Chinese names, right, this is one of the easier ones to trade. Just kind of keep an eye on these levels right here. Definitely an evening star reversal right here as well. So if we do push down below these lows, we may work our way back down to the cloud in the 50-day on that one. So good stuff. Woo! Great job, guys. I really appreciate everybody's chart requests this evening and questions. I hope everybody has a great week this week. A big kind of concern is, right, just look at that. Think of the ABC that we might be working on the market, right? Keep an eye to see if we gap up tomorrow. All the names that were looking really super duper bearish might actually squeeze out tomorrow. So kind of keep an eye on that. That's going to be a big one. So we'll be updating. We'll see what we got going on. We'll be here bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll put a YouTube video out on the Good Morning Market Prep to give some insight into the next day. We'll go over the futures, stuff like that. So if you guys are new here, if anybody's new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube so you can check out all our other videos. And whether you're new here or not, please hit the like button. It goes a long way. And also check out the links in the description if you're interested in signing up into our Discord. So I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening. Like I said, we'll catch you guys bright and early. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first and stay safe. So you can stay